Know that we need
How
a
can
DNA test.
force a mother to consent to a DNA test? No, we didn't bring Emma to sit through your torture.
Call it off, Tad.
I can't do that.
The law is on Annie's side. You're not going to win this.
We asked nicely. You refused. So here we are. You didn't give us a choice.
Thank you, Your Honor, for agreeing to oversee this hearing on such short notice.
Short being the key word, Counselor. You promised this wouldn't take long. I intend to hold you to your word.
Your Honor, my colleague was a bit presumptuous. There are two sides to this issue.
I am aware of that, Ms. Cudahy. However, my wife is holding dinner, and her casserole does not stand the test of time. Therefore, I suggest that both parties make your arguments as succinct as possible.
Your Honor, I've asked you here on behalf of my clients, Tad and Dixie Martin.
Yes, I have read the brief, Counselor. You are petitioning the court to order a DNA test to determine who produced this bundle of joy, Emma McDermott. Let's hear from the parents.
They're right here, Your Honor.
Your Honor, Emma's mother is right here.
Your Honor, my client was in such distress, in and out of consciousness. She found it very difficult to argue when her doctor vehemently, passionately urged her to sign over her parental rights for the good of her child, a daughter that she named Kate.
Your Honor, I have a great deal of compassion for Dixie's decision, but I fail to see how my colleague's detailed account has any bearing on the matters before the court. And I also don't see how it's getting you any closer to your casserole.
She has a point, Jack. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
We believe, Your Honor, that after Ms. Martin was coerced into signing over her daughter to Dr. Madden, that he took this child on his private jet to New York City and 4 days later placed this child with Annie McDermott.
Now that is a far-fetched fantasy.
He didn't place Emma with me. I gave birth to her. She's mine, 100%.
Your Honor, just because Dixie Martin and Annie McDermott shared the same OBGYN does not mean that Annie ended up with Dixie's child. Dr. Greg Madden had hundreds of clients all over the world.
You're right, Livia. Indeed he did. So why are we keeping the good judge here from his dinner? What is the basis of this hearing? It is, in fact, a rather marvelous discovery made by a doctor at Pine Valley Hospital. It is, in fact, a DNA test, the results of which show that Tad Martin and Emma McDermott are, in fact, father and daughter.
I realized that I made a grave mistake when I gave away my daughter. I realized that when I started recovering from my car accident, an accident that my doctor knew that I would survive. I was conned into giving up my child, the most precious thing in the world to me. Now, I don't know if you're a parent, Your Honor, but can you imagine what that must have felt like? To have given away your child to strangers because you were lied to. I can't tell you how full of self-loathing and emptiness I've been. I've looked all over the world for her. I have followed lead after lead. I have met other women who were victims of this maniac. I have found fake birth certificates. I have found hundreds of photographs of children that he has brought into the world, children that he has given away. And I have never been so close to finding Kate as I am now. I have to know the truth. Please, I have to know if this is my child. Please, Your Honor, it's my only option left.
I am very sorry for your loss, Miss Martin. It's obvious you regret your choice.
What happened to you is terrible, Dixie. But you can't make up for losing your child by taking mine.
Nobody wants to take anything that doesn't belong to them. All we want is answers. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but forgive me. If you'd spent the last 4 years of your life looking for your daughter, and you thought you might have found her, you'd insist on the same answers. You'd have to know.
I do know. Emma is not your daughter. End of discussion.
Ms. McDermott, if you're so sure about that, then I don't understand you having any qualms about taking another DNA test.
The only thing this is about is that there is no legal basis for ordering a mother to prove that she is the mother of her own child. And there is no legal basis for ordering a child to be subject to this test.
I'm sorry, but if I may, Your Honor, why do we need a test at all? I'm just trying to figure it out, because if the one that you gave the judge is 99.99%, right, which is the supposed accuracy, then I don't understand what we're even doing here, because Ted Dixie would be suing for custody of Emma right now. But the man responsible for that test is a convicted felon, and he is a liar, and he's got a grudge against half the people in this town.
Your Honor, while I'd like to admit for the record that my client did not consent to this test, I'm also very curious why Mr. Montgomery is requesting that another test be conducted. Is he admitting that these test results are questionable? Are you just going for the best 2 out of 3?
I'd like to hear that answer myself, Counselor.
I concede the court may have some problems with the authenticity of the first test.
And you must have some problems with it as well, or we wouldn't be here.
Because the source of that test is somewhat tainted. This is why we request another test.
Your Honor, clearly, Mr. and Ms. Martin have no legal grounds to stand on. A questionable DNA test is the only connection they have to Emma McDermott. And now we know that that DNA test could possibly be Mr. Martin and his son.
You admit this test is unreliable, yet you claim it as grounds for another. If you're playing games with me, Jack.
I assure you, Your Honor, I am not.
Show him the test from New York.
Well, who produced that one? Santa Claus?
Your Honor, how many random tests are we going to be subjected to?
In fact, Livia, this test isn't random at all. This is a test that Anna McDermott had done in a licensed clinic in New York City.
Your Honor, that is a private medical record clearly obtained illegally, and it is inadmissible.
I will keep that in mind. Thank you. Ms. McDermott, this test states that you are no blood relationship to the child that you claim you delivered.
Your Honor, whether any matches Emma makes no difference. It still proves nothing. Nothing for Ted Dixie. Your Honor, why should Annie have to explain those tests if they have no bearing at all whether
Are
Dixie
you
or
Mrs. McDermott's husband?
No, I'm not, Your Honor.
Father of the child?
I'm a friend, and
Your Honor, Mr. Lavery is very knowledgeable about this case and has a great deal to add.
Well, when I want Mr. Lavery's advice, I'll ask for it. Now, Mrs. McDermott, would you please explain to me the DNA test you ordered?
I had that test done when I was fighting my ex-husband for custody of our daughter. You see, I got pregnant by using an anonymous sperm donor, so I knew that my husband's DNA wouldn't show up on that test. I intended to use it against him in court. The fact that my DNA doesn't match Emma's either, it has to be the result of a lab error. I swear to you, that test is wrong. I was pregnant. I delivered a healthy baby girl, the same baby girl that I have raised for the past 4 years.
Your Honor, Dr. Madden wasn't known for his honesty or his reliability. While I don't doubt Miss McDermott's sincerity, it's quite possible a switch was made that she wasn't aware of.
Your Honor, we expected them to say that. Excuse me. You can come in now, Cynthia. My apologies for the casserole, but there's nothing like a good eyewitness to get a hearing rolling.